Hi guys! So today I have another story time video, and this is not clickbait. It's exactly as you saw it. It's exactly as you saw it. I went to the hospital because of a pimple, and this is why. So what happened was I had your regular well-behaved pimple, and I usually put salicylic acid on it because this dries it out and then makes it go away. And that's what I did. I put it on the pimple, and overnight I left it on. So the next day I woke up, and guess what? It had mutated, evolved into a big, humongous, swollen pimple. And I don't know how it got this way. I may have tried to pick at it. I don't remember. I don't know what happened, but it just got huge. It made my whole upper lip swollen to the point that I looked like a duck, like quack. I was like, what the hell is this? I mean, the whole thing was swollen, like I had gotten Botox injections and I had a botched lip job, and my lip was like this, and like the whole thing up to the lip was swollen. So I didn't know what was going on, and I told my father, and he tried to help. So he tried to help me, get everything out. And he did, and then he disinfected and put a gauze on it. But the next day, it was still swollen, and my father tried again to try and get whatever was left out, and it just hurt so much. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said that he was going to give me some antibiotic pills, and that in a few days it should go away. Well, a few days passed, and it did not go away. It was not less swollen, and the pain was even worse. It was unbearable. I mean, I don't know how this happened, but it was just awful. And when my dad kept trying to help me, get it out, the pain was just awful. It was a 10, and it hurt just existing. Like, just the pimple being there, it just hurt. Like, if you even touched it, it hurt. And I didn't know what to do. I panicked. Why don't I go to the people who are gonna know more than I do about how to take care of this, and let's just leave it to them? So I thought, okay, why don't I just go to the emergency room? If they don't think it's an emergency, then they'll send me back. And if they do think they can help me, then they will. So I went, and I went with this like facial mask, the ones that people like surgeons wear and stuff. They cover up to here, because I tried to look for a scarf to try to cover myself up. Even if I look Middle Eastern, like, I didn't care. I just didn't want anybody to see that, because for a girl that is absolutely embarrassing. Like, I looked like a duck. I looked deformed. I did not look like myself. I was completely unrecognizable, and I couldn't find one, so I just went with that. And they checked me out, and they found out that I had an infection. And this was the reason that they were going to help me and let me in. So because I wasn't an emergency, they had me wait in the living room, and it was embarrassing because I didn't want anybody to see me, or because I had the mask on to think that I was contagious or something. So I was just on my phone, and then they finally called me in, and they took me into a room, and they did more checks on me. I don't know if they were checking the blood pressure or whatever. And Daniel, no more screaming, please. Then every time I went in, every professional that was helping me kept asking me what was wrong, like what did I have. And I was like, I had to show them, because I didn't know if they were responsible for helping me or whatever. So I had to take it off and be like, yeah, this is what I have. And it was so embarrassing, but oh well, I had to do it. So they finally took me into a room where they were finally gonna do something about it. So the nurse had to put an injection into the area to numb it, and then he was gonna get everything out. So he did, and even like the injection just hurt, but I had to be like tough and not cry. And so then it was numb, and he cut open like the center of the whole problem, and then he had to squeeze with his thumbs. And what didn't hurt was the actual stinging sharp pain of the pimple, but what did hurt was the pressure of his thumbs, because he was going really like hard, like I'm getting everything out, and he did. And then I was trying to be really strong because the pain of his thumbs hurt. And he finally got everything he could out, and then disinfected and put a gauze on me. Then I was taken on a bed to the second floor where I was going to be staying on, because they were going to be putting antibiotics in me to get the swelling down and get rid of the infection. So they took me in a bed, and I was like, I can walk, like I don't know why you're taking me on a bed, but okay, I guess I'll just go along for the ride. So they took me to like the second floor. I don't remember which floor, I think it was the second one. And they put me in a room where I was supposed to have a roommate, but there was nobody there. And then they started, putting IV through your veins, antibiotic bags, and every like 2 hours one would run out, and then they would put a new one, and that's what they would do continuously. Now, there was some good stuff and some bad stuff to this whole situation. The good part was that the food was good. I mean, it was excellent. They gave you a menu. I loved and looked forward to that part, because when you're in a hospital, you're lonely, you're bored, and you don't always get treated that way, where you're like, there's really good food and you just get served breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you don't have to do anything basically. But the bad part was that I was going through a rough time in my life, so I was lonely, and I didn't have anybody to talk to, and I had this whole emotional situation going on, and then this going on, and I was really sad for the whole time I was there, and I was there for 2 weeks. And unless you have somebody coming in all the time during the day, then you're basically lonely. And I was really lonely. I didn't know who to talk to, and that was really difficult, because I didn't get to see anybody except for nurses once in a while. And then after 2 weeks, when 2 weeks was up, I was let go finally, because the doctor approved that I did not have any infection and I was good to go. So he approved for me to go, and I went home. And at home, there were instructions for there to be a nurse to come over and continue to show my parents how to put in IV bags so that I could continue the treatment for 1 more week. And I continued it for 1 more week, and then I was done with the bags, and all that was left was for me to get a final blood test. And the swelling had gone all the way down. My skin had begun to heal, and I went to this place where they had sent me to get my blood test done. And the lady was trying to get blood out of my arm. She tried one arm, she tried another. She could not get any blood out. Like, she would try, and sometimes it looked like it was gonna come out, and then it stopped. And she was like, what did they do to you? I'm trying all possible veins, and they're like blocked, like you don't have any blood. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. But I guess they had just taken out so much blood from so many veins that nothing was coming out. So at this point, she had to get creative. And she tried to get out of this hand through like one of the veins from the hand, and she was finally able to get some out. And then once those blood test results came back, I had no infection, I was healthy again, and my skin had begun to heal completely. So I was left with the scar, which I asked the nurse if I was going to end up with the scar, and he said no, but if you do, it's going to be small. And I did end up with the scar, and it's actually right here, and it's not very noticeable, but if you're up close and you really like are looking for it, you can see it. And it's just where the skin isn't like super smooth as like the other side, like over here. And it's always gonna serve me as a reminder of this like weird experience. I actually forgot to mention that after this, I went to volunteer at a hospital, another one, and I actually bumped into the nurse, one of the nurses that had helped me while I was there. And I went up to her because I wanted to thank her for being so good to me, and she did not recognize me. That's how unrecognizable I was. And I had to be like, I was the girl with the, and she was like, oh yeah, you're actually really pretty, you look different. And I was like, yeah, I look different, don't I? And yeah, I bet you had never imagined that a pimple could send you to the hospital. It's a very strange experience, but it happened. So if you like this story, give it a like, comment below, and subscribe. And yeah.